Hi class. I wanted to give you an introductory video here just to give you an overview of what to expect for the next 2 weeks. I know that you've already met today, Monday, March 16th, but rather than asking Mr. Bosson to cover this, I thought I would just give you and him kind of an overview of what I've posted and kind of show you the way around so you know what to look for and what the schedule is and what you need to have accomplished before spring break. Okay, so here's the Evernote page, and what I've tried to do is on this home page I've highlighted in orange wherever I have added content recently, and then I put the date. So you see here I just updated this activity log just today, and I guess I should put that here as well because I just updated that today as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you the activity log. I created a special page here, schedule for week 7 and 8. That's kind of going to be your daily guide, but it might be a good view to look at the activity log to get a different view on that. Okay, and we'll come right back to that in a minute, but I want to show you first off the added assignments and content that I have. So there's an added page under content for mechanical systems. That's mostly just some PDF notes that I've made, as well as a PDF handout that you'll use one day. And this complements what's in Chapter 2. Has a little bit of different approach, but it's covering the same essential material. Okay, and then under homeworks, I've actually added 3 homeworks. Now don't panic because these are our small homeworks. Okay, so the homework 6, the hot potato, is simply an exercise of calculating some things on that baked potato from the class that Mr. Peter Krinsky gave last week. Okay, so you're gonna need to complete that, and then I have 2 homeworks covering mechanical systems. First one is a single problem. It's actually I believe it's an example. Maybe it isn't an example. I can't remember, but there's an example very close to it. It's calculating the moment of inertia for a pulley. Okay, so that's straight out of the book. So it's a single problem, and there's a good example, at least, that you can follow to complete that one. And you'll get to work on that in class with classmates. And then homework 8 is a single. Oh, there's 2 problems to that, and they're actually examples. They're actually examples in the chapter. Okay, so the answers are there. I just want you to work through the same steps. So it's kind of a way to force you to look more closely at what's being done. So it's combining some helical springs for a translational system, combining them in parallel and in series, kind of like you combine capacitors or resistors. And then the second problem is calculating the viscous loss, which is like the resistance R of a resistor, but here it's a mechanical system where there's 2 plates sliding, one plate sliding over a surface, and there's a thin film between them, and that fluid in between them adds drag. Okay, so again, the example is right there. You're just going to work your way through it. So they're not, just wanted you to know, those are not big homework assignments. I know you've got the 2 tests to prepare for, and that's where the focus should be. For lab tomorrow, there is a lab posted here, and you'll notice that for both this week, it's right here. For week 7 and 8, it's the same lab, so you get a 2-week lab. It's all MATLAB, and there's a video to watch for that. Make sure you watch that before lab tomorrow. Okay, let me go back up now and look at the activity log first, and I've highlighted here in yellow things that are relevant to well, not that one, but starting here, 7.1, what's relevant for the next 2 weeks. Okay, so for 7.1, that's today, test 1 review. Presumably you already looked at some of those videos. You'll look at some more on your own. Whatever you didn't get through, that's up to you, but that's available for you to help you get ready for the test. You'll do MATLAB lab tomorrow. It's part 1 of 2 parts, and then on Wednesday there will be no class meeting because that's when you're going to take the test, either between, I think it was Wednesday and Thursday. You're going to schedule that with Mr. Boss, and you do it on the floor during business hours. Okay, so no class on Wednesday. And then on Friday, will be the first lecture or the first class on mechanical systems. All right, and these two little exercises here, mass moment of inertia and springs, those are actually those two homeworks, homework 7 and 8, that you can actually work on together in class. Okay, but there's some reading you need to do before that class. It's just reading the section 2.1, I think, of the textbook that introduces these concepts, the basic elements of inertia, compliance, spring, and then viscous stamping like a resistor. Okay, and so over here there's actually the section that you should have prepared for. Okay, so section 2.1, you'll need to have read that prior to class on Friday. All right, on week 8, Monday will be the second mechanical class. All right, here you're going to look at single degree of freedom systems. This is covered in chapter section 2.2.1 and 2.2.2. So the expectation is that you will have studied those prior to class, because no one's going to be there to lecture. If you haven't read anything, then the class is really going to be a waste for you, because you won't be ready to actually work on any problems. So I've listed 3 exercises here, and they're actually exercises right out of the book. So again, there's the solution there, though sometimes they skip steps, and I simply want you as a class to work through those, and you guys can choose however you want to spend your time, whether it's individually in pairs or do it someone up on the board. Doesn't matter. It's just an opportunity for you to work your way through the material. There's nothing to turn in for these exercises here. Okay, so unless it's tied to homework, which is the case for Friday 7-4, because those are actually little homework problems, there's nothing to be turned in. Okay, Tuesday of week 8 is a continuation of MATLAB, the MATLAB lab. Okay, and again, make sure you watch that video before the lab. Wednesday of week 8 is the 3rd class covering mechanical systems. All right, and here what I want you to look at prior to class is to go over some hand notes, which I have posted, and I'll show you where those are in a little bit. And then I have a handout. I have a handout that basically are unsolved exercises that are actually solved in the hand notes. So again, those are just exercises for you to practice. Again, if you haven't gone through the notes on rotational systems, these hand notes before class, then you won't make very good use of class time. But again, there's nothing to turn in here. They're just for your practice and just for your learning. Okay, and then Friday is the test 2, and there's review videos again for that. I think it's around 30 minutes of video or so, split up in 6 videos. That's not assigned. That's up to you if you want to watch it. I made it available. I would highly recommend that you watch it, but that's up to you. I actually developed the video after writing the test, and so I'm trying to be helpful in leading you through some things that you're going to be asked to do on the test. Okay, so you will not be capitalizing on things if you don't watch those. Okay, so that's the activity log. Now let's go back and go to the actual schedule page for week 7 and 8, and here's where you're going to find links for most things. Okay, and here there's a divider section for each day. All right, so for today, you probably have seen this. There was so typically I have the format for the class, what materials are available, and then a list of activities. So here are the 9 short videos. Presumably you started watching those. You hopefully got a printout of homework 6. If not, I guess you can just print it out on your own. All right, Tuesday, here's the lab. Here's the link to that lab. It's also on the resource page. Here's the pre-lab lecture pre-lab video lecture that you really need to watch. And I really should just put that right over here. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. All right, so that's Tuesday. On Wednesday, this is the test, so there's no, there'll be no meeting time here. I don't have this on the test, but just FYI, test 1 has a time limit of 2 hours. That's honor system. Write down on your test by your name, you know how much time you spent. Okay. All right, this link is just for Mr. Boston, so you can get to the test and print it out. It shouldn't work for you. Hopefully it won't. All right, Friday, this is the first ME class. So the format, students are to split their time working through homework 7 and 8 problems. These are from chapter 2, which they should have read prior to class. They can also spend some time completing homework 6, the hot potato problem. The materials, bring your System Dynamics for Engineering students textbook to class, and hopefully Mr. Boston can print out copies for homework 7 and 8. And what is due for this class at this time? Well, the introductory lecture on chapter 2 prior to this class, so I haven't posted this yet, but what I'm doing right now is part of that. And or maybe, yeah, I plan on giving you a specific little introduction to the material of chapter 2, so hopefully I'll get that done. Okay, and then you have you're supposed to have read chapter 2 section 2.1 prior to this class, otherwise you won't make good use of the class time. All right, so that's for Friday. That takes you through the end of this week. Next Monday, then bring your textbook again. The activity is you're going to work through these examples 2.4a, 2.5, and 2.6. I doubt that you'll get through all of them. Spend the last 15 to 20 minutes of class actually going to MATLAB on the computer and evaluating whatever problems you did solve, because you'll see these examples in the textbook. They actually use MATLAB at the end. There's nothing to turn in here. This is just practice for you. All right, take time to work through them. Make sure you understand the problems. It's not, the point isn't to like rush through them, because after all, the answers are there, right? So the whole point is for you to kind of wrestle with the ideas and gain understanding. Okay, what is due for next Monday? The hot potato homework is due, and then you should have read chapter 2 sections 2.2.1 and 2.2.3, which are from which these examples are taken. Okay, so you need to do that before Monday. Tuesday, the lab continues, the MATLAB lab continues, and on Wednesday then is the third class on mechanical systems. Bring your textbook, although it's maybe less necessary here, and you might want to project up on the overhead the hand notes that you can find here. This is taken right from the resource page under content. So this is a sub-page that has a PDF for the notes, the hand notes. And then hopefully Mr. Boston can print out a copy of these exercises, which is also found on this page. And here what you're going to do is you're going to work through these exercises. You're not going to get through all of them. You might just get through, 2 of them. I don't know. Again, there's nothing due. It's just to help you gain understanding and to practice these. You'll notice when you work these problems, they're formulated a little bit different than what you'll see in the textbook. And if I get a chance, I will post a little lecture for this, something real short, but just enough to give you a brief introduction. Okay. And then lastly, Friday before spring break, you have test 2, which I think you can take on Thursday or Friday. Yes, and that'll be scheduled through Mr. Boston. Here I'm giving you a time limit of 2.5 hours. Okay, so it doesn't say that, but time limit of 2.5 hours. In addition, make a note, you can bring a 3.5 by 5 card with notes for this. So I'm not going to give you like Laplace transform pair handout. I thought about doing that, but then since I'm giving you this 3 by 5 card, and plus I'm telling you, the test will not require any exotic linear Laplace transform pairs or properties. Okay, it's going to be similar to the types of things that you saw in class and in homework. So as long as you can deal with step, ramp, basic exponential decay, if you know sine and cosine, and then like the frequency shift property where you have f of t times e to the minus s tau ends up being a shift in frequency, so of tau. So as long as you know those kind of things, or you write those things down, you should be okay. All right, and then what is due before you leave is the homework 8. This is, again, those exercises. It's just a parallel and seriesing spring, and then calculating the viscous coefficient for a plate sliding over a thin film of fluid. 2 examples in the textbook, Chapter 2. You'll have worked on those in class. I'd like to have those turned in before you leave for spring break. All right, and then optional, this is not scheduled in your class time. You'll just do this on your own if you care to. I made 6 videos totaling about 34 minutes walking you through you know, content that I think you should know for this test. And this, I would highly recommend that you look at this, okay? Although we started solving some problems with Laplace transform, we didn't practice as much as we will going forward, okay, as we add some new material like with mechanical systems. So I think it'll be helpful to everyone if you watch these videos in preparation for the test. Okay, I'll stop this here at this point and then look for another video to introduce, where is it? Yeah, to introduce the mechanical topic for this coming Friday. Hopefully I'll get a video done there, and I might have a second video here. We'll have to see. I'm about out of time now. So I hope it goes well. Thanks for accommodating me being gone. And if you have concerns or, you know, whatever questions, you know, work with Mr. Bosson. He has, you know, he can change anything that I've set up. He has, you know, I've given him permission to do that. And yeah, I want this to be workable, but I'm not here to know whether it is or not. So just work with him, and I will see you after spring break.